Is this connected or not? Somewhere it is not connected. Okay, I will have to use the light within. Om Bhadram Karnaibhih Shrunuyam Devaah Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraah Sthirairangaistuštuvagam Sastanubhihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vriddhashravah Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedah Swasti nastarksho arishtanemi Swasti no Brihaspatir dadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us now pray together.
Not working. Oh, there it
Some things are working. We offer our salutations to the all-loving being who endows all beings with consciousness. We meditate on the Lord, who is the origin of the universe. Lord, Thou abidest in all. Thou art all. Thou assumest all forms. Thou art the origin and goal of all. Thou art the self of all. Thou art existence, knowledge and bliss. Salutations unto Thee. May the world be peaceful. May the wicked become gentle. May all creatures think of mutual welfare. May their minds be occupied with what is spiritual and abiding. May our hearts be immersed in selfless love for the Lord. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Opening song, That Man God Loves. These are a few verses from Bhagavad Gita, the 12th chapter, the last 5 verses, and translated into English and put to music by Joe Dwyer, our friend who used to live in this Marshfield, Massachusetts, a wonderful devotee and musician. We lost him to cancer in 2008.
Who hateth not of all which lives, living himself benign, who dotes upon none, yet never scorns one, fixed in his faith divine. That man God loves, that man God loves, from arrogance exempt, exempt from love of self, unchangeable by good or bad, firm in his faith, mastering himself, true to his word, seeking me heart and soul, bowed unto me. That man God loves, that man God loves, who is with friend the same as with foe, keeping an open heart. Let's good or ill have light where it will, and when it will depart. That man God loves, that man God loves, troubleth not his kind, and is not vexed by them, clear of wrath, grief or fear, noble his life, balanced and serene, pure and unperplexed, his praise or blame unmoved by each, steadfast in me. That man God loves, that man God loves, that man God loves, that man God loves, but most of all these happy ones, to whom 'tis life to live in single fervent faith and love unseen, drinking the blessed Amrit of my being. That man God loves, that man God loves, that man God loves.
Thank you, Peter. Dear friends, let's begin with a prayer. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurmam Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness of ignorance to light of knowledge, and from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. We are going to discuss today a bit complex topic, but very useful. This word Dharma, a Sanskrit word which now has found place in the English dictionary as well, and is used by people in English-speaking lands, and sometimes the meaning is not very clearly understood about it, that what this idea of Dharma represents. Dharma, it is in English it gets translated as religion, but it has a very vast, far-reaching and deep meaning, that word Dharma. In fact, in English too, the word religion in its the Latin form has a vast meaning, but it gets lost. It is re lego, which means re was a prefix in religion. Re is a prefix which means again. That is, ponder, think of what you are doing. Be aware of what you are doing. So that is like we have lost the sense of prefix in many such words that we use, like remember, repair, all these things, respect, There is originally a prefix in them. And then we lose the sight because the meaning is always, fix something, and we do not think of re as a prefix there. But if you look at the etymology, you will see that it is a prefix. So religion also is actually a re-lego, means to look again at what you are doing. Just do not instinctively do something. It is try to see again, is it right or is it not right? Is it taking you on the right course? Are you otherwise going to repent by doing what you are about to do? So take again a look at what you are doing. Re-examine. In word dharma has this idea, it comes from the Sanskrit root dhri. Sanskrit has this potential which is unique, that a word is derived from a root, like a plant you see coming up from the root. Then it gets, you have the branches, the flowers and the fruits. But then if you go back, you see the root. So, and then the beneficial part of this is that you can understand how the word originated. So this word dharma originates from the root dhri, which means to hold together, to be what it is. So holding together something to its purpose, to its constitution. It's a very complexly, meaning, complex significance that this word has, that to hold, to uphold, to be what you are, and all these things are combined in this word dharma. It is religion, yes, because it is a religion in the sense that that is what makes human beings. It is human beings tend to live a goal-oriented life. Every action that human beings perform, you will see that they think of what shall I get out of it? Why am I doing it? This why is a very significant part of human life. I want to know the purpose of what I am doing. So purposeless actions, meaningless actions, and therefore it gets classified as useless. So something that we are doing has to have purpose. If somebody is constantly doing something purposeless, that person is called crazy. So this purpose of every action is what really religion is. That you think that what am I going to do with the result of this, and is it taking me on the right course? Is it going to be just because I like to do it, or because there are going to be certain important beneficial consequences of that action? A human being tends to think on these lines, and therefore that is actually what is religion. Religion is the understanding the goal of our life, and then directing our life in pursuit and realization of that goal. That is what is actually religion. So, and this word, every person has a religion, whatever you may call it. Second thing is that there is a universal aspect to it, because all of us form a part of universal whole. Sometimes I like this analogy that we have as our human body millions and millions of tiny bacteria, tiny microbes, and each microbe has its characteristic. Each microbe is an entity in itself, and yet together human being has an entity which is not same as the entity of a microbe, but integration of that plus something. Here the whole is not the sum of the parts that becomes really meaningful. That not that if you add all the bacteria together and you get a human being, not like that. It is something more. So the universal religion or universal dharma, and that dharma as per individual in the universe. Now the universal actions affect the individual, but individual action does not necessarily impact on the whole, because for example, if my nail is cut, now a part of me is being cut, but does it affect my actions in any significant way? It doesn't. In fact, I cut my nail even if I did not wish and it got hurt. Still it does not in a significant way impact me. So, but the action of the universe, for example, if when I decide to speak, now the bacteria, whether they voluntarily do it or involuntarily, they have to get involved in this motion. So in the universal motion, the individuals willy-nilly, they have to get involved. If I am in a train, then whatever, the train goes, I have to go with it. I don't have a choice about it while being in the train. So, exactly like that, the universal is inseparably, invariably connected with the individual. And individual certainly has an impact on the universal, but not so immediate or so significant, because it is something tiny that can be replaced. So like our cells keep on getting replaced. So the whole doesn't get impacted as such by an individual in that sense. So the dharma at all these levels are to be studied, to be seen, because that will give us a very broad viewpoint. Also, our fanatic attitude will go away if we understand that, yes, each person has a different way of functioning. And that individual's way is to be respected. When you come together, then you form a whole. Like you are here as a congregation, now you are a whole, and you have to respect whatever the norms of the congregation while you are seated here. So, when you form, say, come together as a nation we are, say, all Americans. Now we have to respect the laws of the American society. It is because we are contained in that whole. So, but I may not individually agree with each provision in the American laws. I may individually disagree with it, but that doesn't mean I can violate it. because I am part of this whole. So, it is very important to therefore to see the dharma, individual and cosmic. At both levels, there are certain ideas, certain rules. So, dharma is a very important word in Vedic literature, and especially when it comes to Bhagavad Gita, it assumes tremendous proportion. Because in Bhagavad Gita, you see this word used again and again, in directly and indirectly, that dharma. In fact, Bhagavad Gita, the first word of Bhagavad Gita is dharma. When you start reading Bhagavad Gita, the first verse of the first chapter begins Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. Dharma is the first word. This idea keeps on repeating. Even in the last verse, you will see this idea again, that it is wherever there is Lord and the disciple Arjuna, with this, there is then that dharma. It is also, you see, this everything has its dharma. Dharma has that meaning also, that for example, these microphones have their dharma. This light fixture has its dharma. It is not doing it right now, so we can say it is violating its dharma. Now, whether this is to the fixture is to be blamed or the connector is to be blamed, that right now we don't know. More investigation is necessary, that who is not doing its dharma. But as an assembly, it is right now not doing its dharma. So, therefore, it is now not a light when it is not doing its job. So, everything, every single person has a dharma. The chair has its own dharma, and that it is meant to sit on it, and if it is not doing that function, it is no more a chair. And that was long ago. Those chairs are not in use anymore. In the old chapel, that there were chairs, and they were rather squeaky and refitted, and one was actually marked by our Paul not to be used. He was repairing those, and it was marked, but without noticing that somebody had kept it there, and a young, rather stout and weighty person sat on that, and oh, it broke, So it was not doing chair's dharma. It was not capable of doing that chair's dharma. It was not to be counted as a chair then. So, therefore it is said, if somebody, although a human being, is not doing things like a human being, then it is said that that person has deviated from his or her Manushya Dharma. Manushya Dharma, the dharma of a human being, is not behaving as a human being should behave. So, there is the dharma. Again, individual human beings have a variety of characteristics. That it is, for example, somebody can sing very well, is a wonderful musician, so that characteristic of singer is there. So that becomes the dharma of that person. So that person therefore manifests it. That also is the meaning of dharma. That is the meaning of a singer. If somebody says that, well, that person is a very good singer. Oh, Let us hear how he sings. No, he never sings. And then what is the point in calling him a singer, you see? It is the dharma is something that has to do with the manifestation also. That if you have a characteristic, then that characteristic will get manifested in proper surroundings, in proper way. So dharma is in that sense also there. Like there is a physician, and there is a code of conduct for the physician, that one should do like this. One should not cheat the patient in the sense that, well, he knows something, but then for profit hides that and does something else. There are cases where such things do happen. That there it is said in Indian context that that person did not respect, that doctor did not respect his or her dharma there as a doctor. If there is some king, this comes in Mahabharata very often, the Raj Dharma, the word that what the kingly duties are, how a king should conduct oneself. So that becomes Raj Dharma, because king has certain powers, and the duties corresponding to those powers, certain obligations. So in certain, like in Code of Manu and in Mahabharata also, you will find a very long list of what an ideal king should do, right? Because that king is as an ideal. So others will do as the kings do. There is a saying in Sanskrit, Yatha Raja Tatha Praja. Means as is the king, so become the subjects of the king. So it is, the king has a special status there. And so the king has to work accordingly. It is thus there is the code for king that becomes the dharma for the king. So there is the individual aspect, there is the universal aspect. There are certain universal values for human beings that becomes wherever you are, whatever may be your personal traits, you may be a technician or not, you may be a farmer or not, you may be a physician or not, you may be a millionaire or a beggar, doesn't matter. It is for everyone, all human beings, that you should follow the path of truth. You should be an unselfish person. You should not be covetous. You should think of your values as human beings. This is across all the variations that the person may have. But then there are the variations according to your calling, your vocation. Like for example, for a Swami, there is a dharma for a Swami, that Swami should abide by these rules, should do these things, refrain from doing such things. All these constitute together the dharma of Swami. It includes also, like you may see, the Swami wears certain kind of garments. So that is also a form, a code, that the clothing. It is like the doctors, when our doctors go to the office, they put on a white coat. So that is a code of conduct. That also is a part of dharma, that it enjoins upon you certain duties, and not doing that means you are deviating from your essential aspect, that which defines you. You are deviating from that, and therefore that does not bode good for you. You will get destroyed by doing that. Everyone is either naturally or through education is told about what your dharma is. One learns what my dharma is. When you enter a profession, even legally you have to sign a contract that you have to abide by. Certain responsibilities that you are told that you have to carry on. So, like firefighters, they have a code of conduct that in certain situations what should they do, what should they not do. There is a code of conduct for them. The school teachers, they have their own code of conduct. The priest or the ministers, they have their code of conduct. How should they conduct? If they do not do it, then they deviate from that, and actually they do not remain that. It may not seen immediately, but or legally that thing can never be established. But not adhering to one's dharma means you do not now remain that. So, this is an important understanding, and therefore there is always this challenge to hold on to one's dharma, because this dharma has now another connotation which is very important, that if you follow your dharma, you are following your path of evolution. That also is the meaning of the word dharma, that follow your dharma, and thus you will be treading the path to your evolution until you reach the goal. That is the meaning of path. Path means that which leads you to the destination. So if you are following your path, that is also the meaning of dharma. That when you do that, you reach the destination. There is, in Bhagavad Gita, the situation has been explained very beautifully, very penetratively, that there is a temptation always to give up one's own dharma and follow somebody else's dharma, because that becomes more attractive. Whatever I have, I don't feel that it is great, but whatever somebody else has, I feel that's wonderful. I should have that. It is a common tendency in human beings, right from little children. They like the toys that other children have. And they have something maybe much better, but then that child has that, they like that. It is, and then as we grow, still this tendency does not go away. Something that I don't have becomes more attractive. And many times it happens because what I have entails not only some advantage, but a lot of responsibilities that go with it. And we want to shirk that hard part, my responsibilities that go with the duties that I have taken up. I want the respect of it. That yes, the honor and the respect that goes with it, I like that. But when it comes to abiding by the undertakings, the commitments, especially when they are painful, then I think, oh, that's no good, it is just terrible. I remember the mailman we call there in India postman. So the mailman used to always complain while delivering our mail. Since he was coming there for a long time, we used to have some chat with him, and he used to tell what hardship a postman, a mailman has to undergo. You can't imagine sitting here, Swamij, that look, in rains and all, in winds, I have to go give the mail, and then I have to be very careful. I have these money orders to be delivered also. That is cash, So it is. They are to be given. Sometimes I get robbed and I have to pay it from my pocket. It is, and I get one umbrella to protect myself from rains every 2 years. But see, imagine, in these rains and winds, is it going to last 2 years? Oh, so bad. And one day I was going to deliver mail in that house, and a dog came barking at me. Fortunately, only my pant got torn. Didn't bite me. But look, we have to go through all these dangers. So I am telling God, that was his usual concluding, that in next birth you make me whatever you want me to be. Make me a scavenger, make me a shoe repairer, make me whatever you want. Make me a laborer in a mine, coal mine, but don't make me a mailman. So, because when they, and I am sure he must have, before getting employed, must have strived hard to become one, get a job. So, must have been very happy to get the job. But then and as a government employee, he was better off. I mean, he was getting better payment, but was always complaining. A teacher that I had met some time back was complaining. So difficult it is these days to teach. One teacher actually in New York gave up her job. Could not handle all that pressure, the students, not somewhat indisciplined students, and the pressure of the administration, that, she decided to quit. But because while you like things, the responsibilities, the works that get associated with that, you don't like that, and therefore you are looking at the rosy picture of somebody else, that look, while that teacher quit the job, the other thing, how nice these teachers are, they get so much vacation. Whenever there is the winter break, summer breaks, that, wow, how nice, and they get so well paid these days, and get so much honor. Otherwise, look at my job. I am working in this bank as clerk, every day, morning till evening, and see these teachers, they have such privilege of, being with young kids. They feel young thereby, and also these kids then remember them even after they pass through the school, and see, it is such a nice job. But, well, it is for somebody who does not need to do it, that is the problem. That what we have, we see the problems, the faults of that. What we don't have, we crave for that because we see only the good side of that. Many people therefore mourn about their life partners. after marriage, he or she has changed. Earlier was so good, because earlier you didn't have to deal with it, you see. So, therefore, that was very good. When you have, now you start seeing all the problems that go with it. So, therefore, this happened to Arjuna. That is how the discussion in Bhagavad Gita begins. That the Arjuna, his duty, and he knew that very well, that is my duty, to fight this war. I am a soldier, not only a soldier, I am a commander. The most important clog in that whole big war was Arjuna, on whom rested all the hopes and aspirations of their side for victory. Such a person, it is, now he said, well, it is terrible, very difficult. It is like a quarterback right in the beginning said, no, now I am not going to play. It is, so what, it is a difficult situation. So, similarly this Arjuna takes this weakness comes to him, as it is said in the second chapter, that Shri Krishna says, where from this weakness has come to you? Kutastva kashmalamidam vishame samupasthitam anarya jushtam asvargyam akirtikaram Arjuna. Beautiful, this expression, very difficult to exactly translate into English, because these words have very deep connotations. That what is this, your behavior is not becoming you as an Arya, means a noble person. It is, you are not behaving like a noble person. Also, it is what it is going to bring you. It is, you are going to be laughed at. You will be losing all the fame and glory that you have got. And you are not following what you should be doing. In all this sense, you are not doing your dharma, that what you should be doing. It is therefore not a right thing. And what prompted Arjuna was again looking at the other side, that where the grass appeared to be much greener, that he wanted to have the kingdom. He wanted to avenge the insult that was inflicted on him and his family by those evil-minded enemies, Kauravas, their own cousins. And he wanted all that, he wanted therefore the war actually. But when the time came to now give what he wanted to do, and then the feet started tottering. Now, why should I do it? It means loss of all my kith and kin, and who will win? Who knows? It is an all-embracing war. I have to fight with such great stalwarts. It is who have never seen defeat in their lives. I have to fight with such great warriors. So I don't know what will happen. All those slogans that he was saying before that, all the boasting that he was telling, that I will make them the victims of my sharp arrows, and that will make them learn the lesson of their lives. All that went away, and he started seeing that this war should not happen at all. Peace is good, war is bad. Now who can say no to such a nice thing? It is good, yes. No, the war should be avoided at all times. Okay, very good idea. Why did you not think it before? It is. And he went on telling Lord Krishna. In fact, he said, look at that, let us give up all this, let us renounce the kingdom, and let us go begging like the monks do. And he was involving Krishna also along with him. Not only he, you also, you take one begging bowl, I take another, and we will go begging. That is actually the words of Bhagavad Gita are like that. And Krishna tells him, well, this does not become you. This is not, you are just parroting the words. This is not your dharma. This is not your nature. And so, what you are now not willing to do, you will be forced to do that. Remember this, that the dharma will prevail. He says, it is better to die in following one's own dharma rather than the borrowed dharma of somebody else. That will not suit you at all. It is your dharma that is important. Follow that. That is difficult. It has many problems. Yeah, he says that one's own dharma, in spite of being shrouded in so many difficulties and problems, should be held on to rather than adopting an attractive dharma of somebody else. You will not be able to do that. One of my teachers used to give nice analogy that suppose a jackal, a small animal, jackal, looks at the lion and then tries to become a lion and tries to, act like a lion. Then the fellow becomes a morbid jackal. Earlier, no question of becoming a lion for it. Earlier it was a good jackal at least. Now it has become a morbid jackal. So that is what happens. Hold on to your dharma. Follow that. Everybody is, associated with some privileges in life according to one's constitution. Some hardships everybody has to go through. But we think, look at my neighbor, how nice he is doing, how wonderful. Why am I not having that? Well, your neighbor has certain other problems. You have some other problems. You have your problems to deal with. And don't try to imitate that. Follow your dharma steadfastly. It is and thus you will advance on the path, and thus you will reach the destination. It is, as I mentioned in the beginning, it is a very complex subject that every Hindus, because the others do not understand, not only others, even many of the Hindus in modern times do not understand the significance of the basic caste system. They can see that every particular vocation that you take comes with its plus and minus. It has certain rules that you have to follow, and therefore you get something, you miss something. There is nothing in the world that will give you all the advantages sans all disadvantages. Many think that if you become a Swami, then all advantages will be yours and all disadvantages will be gone in life. See, Swami doesn't have to do so many works, doesn't have to keep on hunting for job, doesn't have to worry about finances. Practically no problem at all. So, Why not become a Swami? And many say, look, what is an injustice? You Swamis get all this. And so I said, okay, try becoming one, if you are so attracted to it, why don't you try becoming one? What, Richard? Huh? So, it's like that, it is. Because unless you become, you do not see all the other parts of that life. You see smiling Swami just keeps on doling advices to other people and is seen to have no work at all. Yeah, in a way you are right, but it is still it is the Swami's advantages, and then there are the other things that go with it. Certain discipline, certain works, certain training, all that goes with it. So you have to take it as whole, you see, not only as a part. But yes, if you follow your path correctly, gradually you will get many of those wonderful advantages that the Swamis get, because all paths converge finally at the ultimate goal, where the universal Dharma, that all is actually one. We are all one. So when an individual Dharma takes you to that one, as Swami Vivekananda mentions, that every single being, every single creature is consciously or unconsciously going towards that one goal of freedom. You become free, you become universal, you become divine. So that you will be following that path if you hold on to your Dharma. If you give up your Dharma, then you will be subject to, lost in the path. You have to again restart. So therefore, holding on to one's Dharma becomes the essential characteristic. It is our human Dharma, for example, is different from animal Dharma. We get attracted by the animal life. See, they don't have any rules and regulations. They don't have any moral, immoral things. Why should we have all these restrictions? Well, then you will be an animal. It is. But if you want to be human beings, there are advantages. But you have to follow certain rules, restrictions, and all that goes into becoming a human being. And then for human beings, this is given as the ideal, that what separates you, what is the Dharma as a human being, what separates you from animals. There is this great Sanskrit couplet that it says that it is only this pursuit of an ideal, the religion, Dharma, that separates a human being from other animals. Other things are common. Ahara, nidra, bhayamaithunam cha, samanam etat pashubhir narana. Eating, then sleeping, and then being scared, and then procreation, they are all common between the other animals and human beings. There is nothing to separate human beings on that basis. Then what separates? Dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesho dharmena hi na pashubhis samana. That Dharma, that human Dharma, that you have certain the faculty of discernment, what is right and what is not right, and then follow that. Because of this faculty, what is right and what is not right, human beings have the sense of sin. An animal cannot commit sin because that sense is not given to it. If you have that sin, your conscience tells, hey, you didn't do the right thing. You should have done it like this. And that makes you incur sin. Nobody else gives you sin. Our own conscience tells us that when you have not done the right thing, then, well, you incur what is called sin. But when this idea of dharma, of pursuit of the goal is given up, then you and that other animals, human beings and animals, there is no difference between them. You are a variety, one variety of animals which walk on 2 feet rather than on 4. That is the difference. Another Sanskrit verse therefore says that these cows and other such animals must be thanking human beings who do not eat grass, otherwise nothing would be left for them to eat, you see. So otherwise they are all like the animals, except that they don't eat grass, and that is a great favor done to the other animals. So Swami Vivekananda highlights this point, says that running after sense enjoyments, well, you cannot do it well in human body. Human bodies are not made for that. He gives an example that have you ever seen a man eating with the gusto of a dog? When a dog eats, see, observe. The whole being of the dog, as it were, is in that food. That is the dharma of dog. A human being, no, it is not that dharma. Human being eats to live. That it is, my life has other purpose. It is like putting gas in the car. That the car I have to drive somewhere, that is the purpose of the car. I didn't buy the car just to fill gas in it. So it is, that is a human being. Therefore, when human beings go headlong in sensual enjoyments, there is the guilt. The conscience tells them. Not that always we listen to that, but the conscience tells, hey, what are you doing? Are you not a man? Are you a mere beast? What is this you are doing? So you have that reprimand given by conscience, and you are not capable of having that enjoyment. It is why? Because you are basically made, your dharma is to realize the truth. Go beyond this limited personality, this body and mind. Go beyond that and realize the ultimate, your divine nature, and become free. That is the dharma of being a human. When we work in that direction, to that extent that we work, we are following our Manushya Dharma, human Dharma. If not, we are not following that. So this is how a quick overview that I have given today of the individual and universal Dharma. It's a deep subject and can be discussed for a long time. And if you study Bhagavad Gita, you will see that how insistence on following one's own dharma is so important there. Thank you, friends. Let us think of these things, meditate on them for 30 seconds, and then if you have some questions, please feel free to ask. Yes, please. Yes, Charlie.
What was Duryodhana's Dharma? Was it to do bad things or to turn around and do good things?
Good question, it is, according to his dharma, not exactly bad things. It is from the other side, it looked as if he was doing bad things, but they were according to what he understood as the right things. And while doing it, overtaken by certain impulses, certain temptations, he did things which were not right. It was not his dharma to keep on doing evil things. Mahabharata also mentions that he was a very good king. As an administrator and king, while he was ruling, the subjects were shown to be quite contented, happy, and he was doing his duties quite well. So he was not in that sense an evildoer all the time. When it came to his kingdom that he thought for certain reasons which are not completely unfounded to be his kingdom, and an injustice has been met out to him. So he was doing things which were according to his dharma, but not really all the righteous things. And therefore, you incur the results of that too. Yes, please.
A similar question, kind of an extension of that. If like negative dharma or actions that could be considered as negative, do you believe they serve a larger purpose in like the divine plan, even though we can't necessarily understand them?
Well, it is true. If you look at it in a universal design, and they also serve a purpose there. Although it may destroy that individual, it does serve a universal purpose. Like in a stage show, somebody acts as a villain. There is a villain in the stage show. Now, that villain is condemned. He is given death sentence or gets killed. But yet the play cannot go on without his presence, So the good guys there has no job if there are no other those who are evil guys. There won't be any play, you see. So that is important. And from that angle, yes, they serve a universal purpose, but that doesn't mean they should be taken as role models to follow. Yeah. Yes, Vailuko.
A lot of actions, like following what I thought my path of Dharma was, I realize is now ego-based, and almost everything we do as humans is ego-based.
Yeah.
How is one to know if one is really following the true Dharma, or is the ego going, I want to do this because it makes sense?
Yeah, very good question. It is very subtle. It is in Mahabharata. There is a verse that says that dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahajano yena gatasya pantha. That the principle of this dharma is very, very deep and subtle and very confusing. So, follow the great souls, how they acted in such situations. So, uphold those ideals and role models and see how they acted in a similar situation. That is the solution. As to the first part of your question, ego-based. Every action of every individual is to some extent ego-based, as long as that we have not transcended the ego and merged with the ultimate truth. Each of us has ego. Now Sri Ramakrishna therefore used to classify this ego that into two, that the ego that is ripe and ego that is unripe. The ripe ego connects itself to the divine or the ultimate reality. The unripe ego connects it to the material things, the passing things with body and all that. So therefore, the job initially, and that initially does not mean one day or like that, till we reach the stage where one can go beyond ego, the task is to utilize the ego, and for that convert the ego that is unripe into a ripe ego. Thank you. That was a very important question. Very nice.
Maharaj, we have a question.
Yes, please.
Swamiji, what if my understanding of my own dharma and other people's expectations from me as part of my dharma are different? How can this be resolved?
A very good question again. Excellent, Yeah. There, it is my understanding and other people's expectations. None of them are in themselves the proper criteria to judge. What one should be using is what is the scriptural advice on these matters, what the sages have told in these matters. That should be the guiding force. It is neither what other people expect. Other people's expectations are so diverse, because all of us are selfish, so I will be expecting from me what I would be benefited by, and then tell that person that is your dharma, you say. So it is the other people's expectations from me need not be the criterion. What I think is my dharma is also to be judged, not by my likes and dislikes, but by my sense of what is right and what is not right, and also on the basis of the advice of the saints in that matter. That is then the right way to see what one's dharma is. It is exactly like this that confused Arjuna therefore takes refuge in Krishna, that please guide me, I am confused as to what I should be doing in this, because the expectations, one's own attachments, and both are at loggerheads, or even if both are together, that does not mean that it is my dharma. I should judge it against my sense of what is right and not right, and not the sense of what is pleasurable and non-pleasurable. So this is how one can determine what is the right dharma. So I request Vishwanath to do his offertory. Now, while I am telling you about the next Sunday program, which is the whole day celebration of the birth anniversary of Sri Ramakrishna. It begins from 11 in the morning and has the worship, then flower offering, prasad, lunch, and then there will be a video symposium from 5 to 6, and then there will be singing, and then prasad supper to conclude. So you are all invited to join this 10th next Sunday program. And the other programs during the week will go on as usual. The Tuesday, Friday lectures, morning and evening meditations, and try to come for those as well as, for these some main programs. So I'll conclude with the closing prayers. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahur Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.